Hello and thank you for watching. I'm Jennifer Bowman with Olympia Piano, and this is video number 10 in the Holiday Harmonization series, where I'm showing you several different ways to harmonize a simple melody. And today's project will be the First Noel, and in this video I'm going to show you a harmonization technique you can use in your right hand. I think you'll get the most out of this video if you've watched my Harmonization 101 video where we take the Solfege Chord Finder and find the harmonization for each solfege syllable. The link to this video is in the description, and there's also a download link to this worksheet, as well as the link to the sheet music and the lead sheet for the First Noel. Now this video is going to have three parts. Part one is going to be the harmonizing of the melody, so choosing which chords sound good with them. Part two, I'm going to show you the harmonization technique where we add some harmony under the melody in the right hand. And then part three is going to be taking those harmonies and transferring them to a lead sheet. So you can play along with a group of singers or instrumentalists, and you can easily transpose this to another key. So we are going to get started first by writing in the solfege syllables for the melody. Now all of my melodies are in the key of C to keep things consistent. So if we look up this E here, the beginning, that is a Mi. And so just pause the video for a moment and take a few minutes to fill in the solfege syllables. All right, now that the solfege syllables are in, what we're going to do is take a few minutes and harmonize this melody. Now, because the technique I'm going to be showing you is a little bit complicated for the right hand, it's going to feel a lot different. I'm only going to harmonize today's piece with 1, 4, and 5, just the primary chords. So what we'll do is we're going to start harmonizing here. Usually the first and last measures are going to be a 1 chord. So now let's go to our next measure. See a So there. We're going to turn to our Solfege Chord Finder, and we're going to try out a 1 chord and a 5 chord. That sounds good. And let's try a 5 chord as well. Both 1 and 5 work, so I'm going to choose the 5. It's a little bit more interesting. So then we get Do here. So on our Solfege Chord Finder, we can choose between 1 C major or 4 F major. So I'll play the whole line, 1, 5, 1, and then 1, 5, 4. Here's 1. 1 sounds fine. Now let's try 1, 5, 4. They both work, but I think the 4 is a little bit more interesting. And then we're back to So. So our choices for So are 1 and 5. Let's try them out in that order. 1, 5, 4, 1. Okay, and 1, 5, 4, 5. I think you can hear the 1 is a little bit stronger, brings us back the end of the phrase. So now we have a Do again, and our choices for that are going to be 1 or 4. So I'll start here and I'll play 4, 1, 1. Then I'll play 4, 1, 4. 4, 1, 1, or 4, 1, 4. I think if we're going to put the 4 here, we've got to put it here. And then with So, we have 1 or 5. So we'll just start at the beginning of the line. 4, 1, or 4, 5. I think both times it needs to be 4, 1, 4, 1. So our next measure, we've got a Do, which would be a 1 chord, but I also want to try out the choices for the second note of the melody, because sometimes the first note of the melody is not the actual harmony of that measure. So if we look on our Solfege Chord Finder, so we've got a 1 or a 5. We're also going to try a 5 in this measure. And while we're at it, we'll just fill in the mi. Mi, there's only one choice of chord with the primary chords being 1, 4, and 5, all major chords. So I'm going to try 4, 1, 1, 1. Then we'll try 4, 1, 5, 1. Here's 4, 1, 1, 1. That works well. Now we'll try 4, 1, 5, 1. 4, 1, 5, 1. So they both work, but I think I'm going to choose the 5. I like having a little bit more tension at the end of the phrase. And then we have the same thing. So exact same thing. Page 2, beginning is the same. Now we've got a la, different note here. So let's take a look at our Solfege Chord Finder. Look if there's any primary chords on la. Primary chords being 1, 4, and 5, C, F, and G in the key of C. And our only choice is a 4 chord there. And then we've got so. So now with the so, we've got to choose between a 1 chord C major or a 5 chord G. Sounds better. I'll start at the beginning of that line. 1, 5, 4, 1. Now let's try a 5 at the end of that line. 1, 5, 4, 5. I think they both work really nice. And in this case, I'm tempted to choose the 5. Makes us want to keep going. And then we have similar music to what we've already had. Do, ti, la, it's exactly the same. So we'll have a 4 here. 4, 5. So we've created a harmonization just using primary chords 1, 4, and 5. So today I'm going to show you a different harmonization. And that's going to be underneath the melody in the right hand. What we're going to do is we're going to add a note on the bottom in the interval of either a third or a sixth. So when we create the harmony underneath the melody with the interval of a sixth and a third, sometimes both of them work and sometimes only one of them works. So I've just printed out another copy of the music with the stems kind of going the wrong way so we can fill in the intervals underneath. Let's start at the beginning. We'll do 2 measures at a time. We'll try the interval of a sixth first and then the interval of a third. And we'll try to figure out which ones sound good, or if they both sound good. So we start with the sixth. The fingering is going to be 5 and 1, and I'll just play block chords in the left hand. So we'll have. Okay, so sixths definitely sound good. Let's try thirds. Thirds don't really work. So for this first bit, it's going to be sixth. Okay, now I'll try sixth for here and then thirds. Sixths sound pretty nice. They're a little bit modern. Let me try thirds for the second half of that line. Thirds. That's a little bit more traditional doing the thirds there. So I'm going to do the thirds this time, and then maybe on the second time, because it's a repeat, we'll do sixths the second time through. Actually, I'm just going to say that that's what we're going to do. So we'll, on line 3, when we have the exact repeat, we'll keep it all sixth. By the way, sixth look opposite when you're drawing them in. So if the top note is a space, the bottom note will be a line. All right, let's go to line 2 here. We'll try sixth first and then thirds. So I'll start here, the beginning of the line, and I'll switch to sixth right here. Thirds. Sixth. Or thirds for line 2. thirds until here, and then I want to switch back. So I'm going to do thirds all the way and then switch back to 6 right here. And then I'm going to do this second time through. Do you hear how that doesn't sound good right there? So I'll keep the 6th here, switch back to thirds here, just like before, and then the 6th here at the end. Okay, so the last page, again, we like the 6th work here. All right, so where the melody's a little bit different here, we've got to just decide, do we want 6th or thirds? We know the first part of the melody is 6th for sure. Let's try 6th for this. Sounds great. Okay, let's try thirds for the second half of that melody. I think it depends. If we use a 5 chord here, we have to use a 6th. But if we did more traditional, we would use a 3rd. So because we've chosen to have a 5 chord here, we're going to stay in 6 the whole time here. The adding 6 has to work with what chord we're doing. And then we already know that the thirds work for this melody here because of this right here, and then the 6th at the end. So I'm going to quickly play through this with the thirds and 6th, and then we're going to add the left hand pattern. We're going to use the basic pattern, but I want to show you a couple different things you can do with that basic root 5th octave to make it more interesting. So first, let's block through, make sure it sounds good. We got 6, 6, 6, change to thirds, thirds, 6. Now we're going to stay in 6. A little different color. Now we're going to stay in 6 the whole time for this next line. Because of how we've harmonized it right here, back to traditional thirds. So now we're going to do a simple basic pattern. In the left hand, it's going to be 8th, 8th hold, 8th, 8th hold. And so at the beginning, we're just going to keep it standard with the roots in the bottom. C, G, C, half note. And then for the 5 chord, it will be G, D, G. It's going to sound like this. And let's keep that same pattern. We'll keep the same pattern with root 5th octave. Okay, now I'm going to show you what's called a walk down. So this is something that you can do just to mix things up a little bit. We're going to walk the pinky or the bottom note down a full scale. And what we've got to do is then figure out what's the middle note going to be. The outside notes will be octaves, C, B, A, G. Okay, so we've got our C chord, which is normal. Then we've got our next chord is a G chord. We've got the B on the bottom. We can either have B, D, B, or B, G, B. Because we're coming from C, to just keep that G in the middle. Then we'll do a similar thing. F chord, F, A, C. So our outside notes are going to be A's. It's nice to get the name of the chord in there, so we're going to use an F for that one. And then for this one, we've got G's as our outside notes. Let's see what we want to have for that. I think it's better to have the E for that one. We're doing kind of a colorful chord for that. And then we've got a root position 4 chord, so that one will be easy. And then a C chord. We're going to keep the C in the middle just like we did before. I'm going to put a G in the middle so we get that root of the chord in there somewhere. So this alternate left-hand pattern, just the middle note is changing. The outside notes are not always the root or the fifth. Makes it really colorful. So if we have that middle part very colorful like that, then I think it's best to just end, root position everything, and it kind of finishes the piece off. And then you could just play an octave at the end because we've got this nice chord that has the third and the root. Okay, now here's a playthrough of the arrangement we just made with the thirds and sixths under the melody with the right hand, and then the basic left hand with the walk down in the middle section. Here we go, starting with sixth. Thirds, 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 switch to sixth. Now stay in sixth. We're going to walk down the left hand. It's going to keep going down. Switch to thirds. Now sixth. 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 Thirds. And then switch to sixth for the end. So isn't that interesting how just adding some extra notes in the right hand, creating some harmonies there, coupling that with the left hand basic pattern, you can really make a very peaceful and beautiful arrangement. So now we're on the next step of our video, and what we're going to do now is create the lead sheet in which we'll play an accompaniment, and then people could sing along to it. And so we're just going to transfer these chord symbols to the words or the syllable they occur on. So the first, I try to put the chord symbol above the syllable on which it occurs. Okay. Now in some of the previous videos, I've shown you a different accompaniment technique you can do with your right hand while your left hand plays either the root or the fifth. So I'm going to have the left hand just play root position, basic pattern. I'm not going to worry about the walk down because that'll get confusing when we transpose it. So root position everything for the left hand. And then the right hand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up where the one chord is for each verse. So there's 3 sections. So for section 1, I'm going to start in root position. So the 1 chord will be root, the 4 chord will be second inversion, the 5 chord will be first inversion. Then the next section, I'm going to move that up. So we have 3 possibilities where the right hand could be living. And then as you get more fluid with that, you can try it out, mixing it up within. So So we'll start with our right hand here in root position. The thumbs will just be kind of sharing. And one thing when you're accompanying a group, you want to look and see what the first pitch is. In this case, it's mi. So we're going to give that pitch to the singers or the instrumentalists. And we'll give 2 measures of intro. So if we're doing this as our pattern, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. We'll give the mi, then 2 measures of introduction. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. 5 chord, up for the 4 chord, back to the 1 chord, 4, and 1, and 5. Switch to first inversion. We'll do the chords in this close position. 4 is root, 1's first inversion, 4, and 1, 5. Switch to second inversion, 1, 4, and 1, and 5, and 1. So that's also very good practice with your primary chords, how they feel, how close they are to each other, and so forth. So our final step in the video is going to be transposing this to another key. Currently our high note is C. This is a pretty nice range for this piece, but let's move it down. So our top note is G. So our range will be this instead. And if we look in the music, our high note is on Do. So if we change our high note to a G, that would be our new Do. And so our primary chords in the key of G would be G for our 1 chord, C for our 4 chord, and D for our 5 chord. So we'll have to keep track of that F sharp, especially when we're here in the inversions. So 1, 4, all white, and then 5 chord has an F sharp. F sharp's on the top for that one, and then F sharp's in the middle for that one. So let's play through the transposition now. And our starting note again is mi. So mi in the key of G is a B. So we'll give that starting pitch, and then we'll do the pattern for 2 measures. Here we go. Here's the mi. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. 1, D is 5, C is 4, and G. C for 4, G is 1, and D is 5. Move to first inversion. Here we go. F sharp's on the top now. C chord, G first inversion, and C is 4, G first inversion, F sharp on the top, and G move to second inversion. Here we go. F sharp's in the middle, C chord for 4, and D is 5, G, D, and G. Thank you very much for watching this video number 10 in the Holiday Harmonization series. You can apply this technique to many of the Christmas carols or other popular melodies. So please subscribe so you don't miss the last 2 videos of this series. And I also have lots of other piano videos, technique videos, scales, tutorials for pieces, and technique books. I always love it if you write to me in the comments. Please let me know what you're working on and what kind of progress you're making. And as always, thank you for watching.